Welcome back to the Michigan Business Meet, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network, and we are still at the Grand Hotel. Haven't been asked to leave yet. We're at the policy conference put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. And ladies, it's good to have you both here. Heather Eckner and Colleen Allen from the Autism Alliance of Michigan. Let's talk a little bit about what exactly that is.
Sure. We are a statewide professional organization and actually a pretty straightforward mission to improve the lives of families living with autism in Michigan.
You know, let's talk a little bit about numbers. How big a circumstance is autism?
The prevalence rate right now for children with autism is 1 in 44, and that number keeps increasing. So we are seeing an improvement with early childhood diagnostics, but those need to improve even more. And then the access to services and supports. Roughly in the state, it's around 50,000 individuals that we think have autism. I mean, it's not, you can't get an exactly firm number, but we do know that within the school system, more than 22,000 children have been identified as needing special education services under the category of autism. So it's significant.
Well, I was going to say that number is more prevalent than I thought it would be. And you ask yourself how much of this stuff goes undiagnosed in many cases, because I would suspect not all school systems have the ability to properly diagnose.
That's right. And you know, we've defined autism differently over the years. You know, previously classic autism really captured those individuals with the most significant symptoms and presentation. In 2013, the diagnostic manual, you know, sort of the Bible for how we diagnose psychiatric disorders, really broadened to autism spectrum disorder. So we work with engineers, master degreed finance and IT adults looking for jobs that are on the spectrum because they have the social challenges, and the social deficits are core to autism. It's why no child will ever be cured of autism. They may be able to perform in a classroom right up against their peers, outperform in a work site, but the social piece will always be a challenge.
Well, and you know, we all have the impression autism, well, Rain Man, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we all think of right away, see? So what are the symptoms and how broad a spectrum is autism?
Right. There are a number of early developmental signs that could be potentially be autism or other developmental disabilities. And so sometimes some of the earliest ones are what we call reciprocity. So as a baby's growing up or a young child, that kind of either making eye contact or gesturing to kind of communicate. So those early communication signs. So even before the words come or sounds and babbling come, just are they pointing? Are they nudging their parent, you know, to draw their attention? And when there's an absence of that, it sort of starts to compound on itself. And so if they're not having that communication back and forth in some way, other things don't develop on track as they typically would for some of the natural milestones. So language delay is a common early sign for potentially autism. And then, as Colleen mentioned, then a lot of times parents don't realize there might be something that they want to look into further until their child does get with other kids, often in early childhood childcare settings or preschool settings, and the interactions with their peers, there's just something that's often notably different, right? And that's fine, but you know, we kind of go under the motto of like, don't worry, but don't wait. You want to investigate and see if there's anything that you should learn about or follow up on to access services sooner.
So it's actually a neurodisease, is that correct?
Neurodevelopmental, exactly.
Do we know what causes it?
We do not know what causes autism. We do not know.
Which is why we have no cure.
Exactly. We can confidently say now that, you know, there is a genetic component to autism. Those studies have pretty much, but genetics is, you know, that's such a significant field anyway, even narrowing down which genes are associated because it's such a broad spectrum, right? So, but beyond that, lots of studies around parental age and maternal smoking, and you know, there's very active ongoing ongoing research to understand cure.
And, unfortunately, in some cases, maybe drug use of a parent.
But I would say with the genetic component, so I myself am the parent of 2 children who are diagnosed with autism. I have a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old, but it's certainly something that runs in families. It's a multitude of factors that go into it, some biological, some environmental, and that's what Colleen was alluding to, is that there's so many different factors that we're not at a point where you can pinpoint any one or certain set of them, because it really presents differently for everyone. So there's a common saying that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. You really can't extrapolate from any one person's experience with it onto others, and yet there are broad commonalities that we can identify, and our work at the Alliance is really about identifying what are the barriers, what are the challenges that individuals and families experience, and how can we look at systems and systems of support and access for opportunity. How can we work on systems to improve it no matter where the individual is in their journey and their experience? So it's kind of flipping it a little.
So with under a minute left, how do we get these kids the special attention they need in the schools, which are already understaffed and under-counseled?
Right. We have some advocacy priorities that address exactly what you're talking about, which is really integrating the clinical services with their school day. And we believe that in doing so, we will, it will result in better outcomes. But it's, families have a lot to deal with when it comes to, they've got to get them to therapies, they got to make sure their special education programming is meeting their needs. And so that work, but really we want families to come to us. We are no-cost professional guidance to any family in this state.
How do they get a hold of you real quick?
AutismAllianceofMichigan.org, right to our website.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you heard where they're from, right? Heather Eckner and
Colleen Allen.
I'm sorry.
Colleen Allen.
No, I had it.
Okay.
I thought you were correcting me. Colleen Allen. Thanks so much, ladies, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for the good work you do.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
You're watching this on the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here at the Policy Conference on Mackinac Island. We'll be right back with more.